evidence. Okay, so now I will move to forensic linguistics in Malaysia. So what are some of the challenges, right? I can say that it is steadily developing in Malaysia despite the following changes. First of all, when we talk about forensic linguistics, of course, the difficulties to access data. For example, suicidal notes, tape recording of terrorist suspects, courtroom trials, police interviews, and others. These data are very uh, difficult to get access unless you have been appointed by these practitioners to help them out. So, but we can try because I will show you some of the research conducted by our linguists, Malaysian linguists, which actually has something to do with forensic linguistics. And then Raja Manikam and Anita Abdul Rahim mentioned that Malaysian courts should have the proper guidelines in terms of admissibility of forensic linguistics evidence to uphold justice, because at the moment we only rely on Evidence Act and there's no proper guidelines about forensic linguistics apart from forensic science or even DNA research, right? So we need this, hopefully. Okay, so this is potential. I'm going to show you basically three potentials what forensic linguistics can do in Malaysia. First of all, forensic linguistics can help judges, lawyers, and witnesses through investigations of language used in courtroom discourse. And you can just use simple discourse analysis or critical discourse analysis in order to determine this. Okay, in this case, I've looked at how questions and answering strategies are used in a socio-pragmatic approach. So what does it mean by when lawyers ask specific types of questions, what does it mean? Okay. All right. For example, this excerpt is taken from a cross-examination of a rape case involving a minor at that time. The victim was 17 and she claimed that she was raped by her boyfriend at his house when the parents were not around. So linguistically, um, I believe that the defense lawyers who are defending the accused or the suspect is manipulating language or manipulating questions in order to control the amount of information shared to the judge, and at the same time to discredit the credibility of the victims. Okay, for example, here uh, the sole preface questions. Okay, you have been to the accused house before, right? That's the questions, and the answer is no. So you have not been to the accused house before. So the sole preface questions is used to highlight inconsistencies in the victim's answer, because I mean the lawyers already asked why you keep on repeating the same questions, right? So I mean you can just use the same question instead of loading with so preface questions or and preface question in order to um, discredit. So this is what we call a strategy by lawyers, especially defense lawyers in cross examinations. And the second point, the blue colored one, this is declarative. And if you notice, it is very loaded with information, which I believe try to put answers into the victim's mouth to agree with him. Okay, I put to you that you were not being truthful to this court because you have said during the examination in chief that the accused had allegedly raped you in his house, and now you said you have not been to the accused house. But strategically, the victims disagree because she's trying to speak the truth actually. But the way lawyers use this kind of questions and someone to underage victims, which I believe we need to have some sort of guidelines, types of questions that we can ask during cross examinations or examination in chief in order to make sure that everyone is being treated the same. All right. Apart from that, forensic linguistics can also be used to uh, help law enforcement or special intelligence to detect uh, uh, deviant teachings that might lead to extremist activity. Okay. Um, for example, here, um, we have uh, a paper written by Nordin in 2016. He discussed the importance of forensic linguistics in detecting religious deviant teaching in Malaysia by investigating the text features, and then he described the interpretation meanings given by the leader of the deviant group. He just used a very simple of discourse analysis in this case. This is an example of ajaran Azhar bin Wahab, and the result indicate that the main features of a deviant text are sacred words. For example, here we have karamah. Menggunakan tawasul iaitu berdoa sebelum melakukan urut refleksi dengan berkata, Ya Allah, dengan berkat dan karamah guruku Tuan Azhar, sembuhkanlah penyakit pulan si pulan. Okay, by it, which is against the issue of akidah here. Contradicts. Nobody can give blessings and extraordinary happenings to others except for God. Okay, especially for Muslim, that is what we believe. Okay, and then the interpretations of meaning given by the leader of a deviant group is distort, okay, from its actual meaning as determined by religious authorities, namely Ahli Sunnah wal Jama'ah. So you can actually discover if you happen to came across with this kind of text, you can actually determine whether these deviant teachings are going to lead to extremists, which if we might go to terrorism act. Okay, so the power of linguistic here, the power of linguistic knowledge. Okay, and the next one is, maybe I should go to the next. I just okay, how I go to excuse me. Wait, let me. Okay, all right. So the last few slides, okay. Forensic linguistics can also help judges to reformulate the descriptions of crimes. For example, this is a very recent research conducted by Professor Noraini Ibrahim and her colleagues, okay, on linguistic representations of violence in judicial opinions in Malaysia. So what we have here is that the objective of these researchers is to identify the different terms of how sexual violence is represented by the judiciary. So what they did is by compiling judgments, which can be downloaded from LexisNexis, and then they reveal that violent, disapproving, sexual, and ambiguous terms were adopted. It would also reveal that the crime is often characterized as a non-coerced and mutual consented behavior rather than a criminal act. So somehow, when the judges describe this kind of thing, the result is they can minimize the level of violence, the mitigations of offenders' responsibility, and the relegations of victims' experience to the background. So this is something that we do not want, right? Okay, now, what is next? I think I should. I'm trying to go to the next slide. Sorry about this. I'm quite new here. Okay. All right. So what is next? So what is next? Malaysian courts. I believe that Malaysian courts should have proper guidelines in terms of admissibility of forensic linguistic evidence to uphold justice, and we should open more access to applied linguists to conduct investigations in relation to language and law. And then we should have more collaborative works are needed between practitioners and linguists, and we should encourage more multidisciplinary studies to be conducted. All right, with that, these are the references